Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cricket Spectacle. Uh, I'm Nikhil, and I have my usual warriors with me, Siddharth Gulati and Dan Gardner. Uh, Today is going to be a very special episode, at least for me, as a Netherlands fan who watched them in the 1996 World Cup wearing those bright orange jerseys. I have a really a soft corner for Netherlands. As always, in cricket, in soccer, I have been a huge fan. So it's my honor and privilege to welcome the coach of Netherlands cricket team, Ryan, with us. And Ryan, welcome to the show. And I really love the hoodie. I've told you before we started the recording as well. Thanks for coming on board, Ryan. We really appreciate your time. And how are you feeling? How are things over there? Just tell us a bit about how Netherlands is and how things are looking right now.
No worries. Thanks for having me on. It's always great to talk to passionate cricket fans and all around the world. So, look, things are going okay here in the Netherlands. We've obviously, like most parts of the world, have been battling the COVID pandemic for 20 months, so to speak. Look, it's been very frustrating, from a cricket point of view that we probably haven't played as much cricket as we needed to be quite honest, leading into the World Cup. And, even the Super League against Ireland, it was, by the time we played, it had almost been 2.5, 3 years since we played an ODI before those series. So, look, it's been tough. But again, I know that everyone's doing it tough all around the world. And it kind of feels a bit naughty to even be moaning and groaning about us not being able to play a game of cricket. So, look, we're going okay here. The numbers are starting to come down after some ups and downs. So, I think the vaccination program here has been really, really good, and it's rolled out really well. So, I think you're seeing Europe are getting back on their feet, and you're starting to see some travel and things like that. So, hopefully there's lots of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really good that you mentioned about the vaccinations as well. I think Europe in general has been doing pretty well. England, I think they have even started having like a complete full stadiums for the Premier League soccer games as well. So it's looking good. It's looking optimistic. So we have our fingers crossed, and hopefully there's a lot of cricket coming up in the upcoming years. And I think most people who are watching this already know that you have played for not one but two different countries internationally. Just tell us how that process happened, and what are there any memories that you remember which the viewers should know about?
Look, yeah, it was actually by chance. In all honesty, I finished cricket in Australia quite early. I was pretty happy to retire quite. I was 31 or 32, and basically my whole life after cricket had been mapped out. I was going straight to the media. While I was playing, I was working for radio stations and TV stations. I even was working for a travel show called Postcards WA. So, in fact, cricket actually, in the end, got in the way, and hence why I kind of called it quits quite early. And my coaching career wasn't really something that was at the forefront of my mind. I was still involved, and I still had done all my my level 3 coaching certificates and things like that. But it was sort of an out of the blue phone call, really, from a great friend of mine, Charlie Burke, who gave me a call. He was the national coach of Hong Kong, and he asked if I would come up and participated in a camp, so to speak, and help coach his players. So I went up there for a week and helped out, and he really liked what I did, and I actually loved, the coaching side of things. So it wasn't until about 6 months later he gave me another call out of the blue and said, "Look, mate, the Kowloon Cricket Club job is up as the head coach and cricket operations manager, and I think you would be perfect." And it's one of those jobs that's well sought after. And so I sort of thought about it and, rang a few people and decided, look, I was 40, I was single. I thought, well, I'll go to Hong Kong for a year, maybe 6 months even, and go up there and coach and see what happens. But look, I went up there, and Charlie straight away also, once I got the job, said that I'd be the assistant coach of the Hong Kong national team. so I could help the batters and the fielding and help develop cricket in Hong Kong, which was really exciting for me. And I'll be honest, I fell in love with the country. Hong Kong is one of the most fantastic places to live. The cricket was great, and I love the Kowloon Cricket Club. And in a weird twist of fate, not long after, I actually met my wife to be, and so settling there was almost, didn't even think about it, because it was just, I was either at the races with the guys on a Wednesday night at Happy Valley, which is one of the great nights of your life, or playing cricket and helping out. And in that time that I was sort of in charge and helping with Charlie, the Kowloon Cricket Club became one of the great strengths of Hong Kong cricket. We had, I think at one stage, we had 13 of the 23 in the national squad that came out of the Kowloon Cricket Club. I was providing, in the under-19 squads, up to half of the players in the under-19 squads as well. So, the Kowloon Cricket Club really became one of the strengths and the key pillars of Hong Kong cricket. So, that was exciting for me. And as it turned out, I still had to play a bit for the Kowloon Cricket Club in the Premier League and stuff. And look, I was going pretty well. I think I made a 300 one day, which was, wow, got people talking. And I look, at the end of the day, the final World Cup that I was there, the 2016 World Cup, we had just lost a couple of very key players, through, unfortunately, the wrongdoings on their behalf. And one of those was the opening batsman, Irfan Ahmed, and Charlie and Simon Cook, who was also involved, started on me saying, look, you've been here 3.5, 4 years now. You actually qualify. You need to come and play. And it was like, no chance in hell am I playing. I'm 43. I'm too old. And to be honest, I thought I could still play, but I didn't want to bring or shine a really bad light on associate cricket, because I think there is a stigma out there that there's, all these countries, they just have expats, or they have old blokes who want to then play for this country after they've lived there a few years. And I didn't want that for Hong Kong. I thought they were going really well. They just qualified for, well, that was going to be their second World Cup, and they got ODI status while we were in charge there. And I'll be honest, it took about 20 beers one night in Lang Kwai Fong from Charlie to talk me into it. And I sort of said to him, look, if I'm going to do it, you're going to stop asking me, because I'm sick of you asking me every time I see you. So, look, I was still the assistant coach, so I would do all the batting coaching with all the other guys. And then at the end of training, I would sort of slip in and have a hit. And look, at the end of the day, I'll tell my kids one day that I opened the batting and opened the bowling at a World Cup, which was, a pretty good thing looking back now. But at the time, let me tell you, my body wasn't that excited to do it.
Ryan, do you know that you are the oldest player to have debuted in a T20 international?
Now,
please tell me you knew that.
No, I know it.
Yeah.
But my comeback to that is, I've seen some of the names on that list, and I'm not convinced that that's their real age. Because as we've seen with Shahid Afridi coming out saying later that, that's not my mate. I'm positive some of those blokes were a bit older than what they said. So that's my defence. But
in your defence, man, you still look 25. I mean, you still look 25. It's not, so it's really not that big of a stretch. So.
And also, Shahid Afridi just celebrated the 23rd anniversary of his 31st birthday yesterday.
Yeah, he's had it a few times. Let me tell you.
He just paused his age, hasn't he? Like, it's not going after 30 minutes.
I actually played in a charity game on Saturday, and it was the first time I'd played a game of cricket since I left Hong Kong, and nearly 5 years ago. Let me tell you, today I feel like I'm about 60, not 40 odd. So it's one of those things.
Well, I mean,
you didn't get the chance to pull out the old scoop shot?
No, I definitely didn't do that. That's stupidity, because I could just see myself hitting myself in the head or losing some teeth or something. So no, that definitely didn't come out.
Let's see that's the plus side of being on the older end, right? You get more experience and you know your limits as well. So that's always good. And Ryan, so since you have played for in the Australian cricket team at the highest level, and now you are associated with the associate countries, like even like you spoke about Hong Kong and now with Netherlands. What do you reckon are the biggest challenges which the newer emerging countries are facing compared to, let's say, the powerhouses of cricket like India, Australia, England? What do you think reckon are the biggest challenges that you guys face?
Well, look, I'll be honest. Before I came to Hong Kong and did those coaching training sessions and then moved there, like I'm like most people from First Nation cricket countries. I didn't even think about associate cricket. I had no thoughts about it. I didn't know what their hardships and what they went through. I just thought, oh yeah, we're watching a World Cup and Ireland has popped up, or the Netherlands, and that's the first time and the only time we saw or thought of them. But once you get involved, let me tell you, you suddenly get a very, very strong passion for associate cricket. And that's what I can say from my Hong Kong days. I've picked up an unbelievable passion for associate cricket. I know how hard everyone goes and how hard it is just to perform. You don't have the facilities. You don't have the cash to throw around to get, big line coaches and coaching structures. You have to be very hands-on as a coach, and you know that you're going to do about 27 different things. And some days I'm the manager, some days I'm the head coach, some days I'm the psychologist, some days I'm the bowling coach. This is all the stuff that goes with it. And you get truly wonderful people involved, and they're involved for the right reasons. And look, I know that when Netherlands won the World Cricket League and became the 13th team in the Super League, and I know for a number of years people didn't even know what the Super League is. I'm still sure that not everyone knows what the Super League is. But what it did was give an opportunity for one associate country for the first time ever to play against the Big 12 over an extended period of time. And with that, there came a responsibility because we represent every associate country. Because the facts are, if we're rubbish and we get blown off the park, everyone's going to go, oh, see, told you, associates aren't good enough. They shouldn't be allowed to play. But you know what? We don't think that. We think that we're representing Scotland. We think we're representing, the USA, Oman, Namibia, all these countries who are going brilliantly well.
Yeah.
And we are the tip of the spear, so to speak. And that's for me is that we got to make sure that the game is run well. The World Cup debacle, which we all know that the reduction of numbers was just ridiculous. It doesn't, a World Cup is supposed to showcase the world game, not showcase our elitism. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And it's great that now that they're starting to expand it, they've seen the issues and now are going to get more and more teams in those World Cups because, man, that's the pinnacle of our sport. You watch any World Cup, it's fantastic of any sport. Like, I don't know, I'm not even a rugby fan or a football fan, but I watch those because you see the passion, you see what countries have to offer. And you know what? Every now and again, you get an absolute surprise and an upset, and you talk about that for the whole event. And you know what? That's the highlight for most people to see it. So, look, that's for me. That's associate cricket in a nutshell. We're going to go to the World Cup. We're going to also be there with, Scotland, who have done a really good job to get there. Papua New Guinea, what a story that is.
Yeah.
Now Oman is actually going to host part of the World Cup. That's, they're great stories, and they're coming. The Big 12 need to know we're all coming. Yeah. And as long as we're given a fair opportunity when it comes to, we need money. Everyone knows that. The ICC need to divvy, and the Big Three have to, and I know I'm sounding political now, but the Big Three have to get off their high horse and go, you know what? We don't need that extra 40 million that we've just asked for, because, oh, look, we just signed $1 billion TV rights deal to keep cricket afloat here. Whereas that 20 or 40 million, who then gets taken out of the associate pool, mate, it hurts and it destroys us. So, look, that's my political bit of the day. It's we, and again, I know this sounds a bit silly, but Donald Bradman said it all the best. We are only custodians of the game, and we have to leave it in a better, position. And when I hear that it might be at the Olympics in LA in 2028, that's a fantastic opportunity for cricket around the world to really get embraced by their boards and their Olympic federations, and hopefully, we're the second most participated sport in the world. Yet, there's only 10 or 12 teams going to a World Cup. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and I
Absolutely.
absolutely agree with that. So even the point
Completely
which you
agree.
made as well, the gap between the associate countries and the top 10, 12, however you want to group it, is not that much. It's really not. It's just a matter of getting those opportunities and that exposure as well, which is bound to happen and should be happening more as well. I'm pretty sure the other two guys, Siddharth and Dan, have a few questions as well. I'll pass it on to Siddharth and we'll end with Dan because you'll have some home connection over there. So over to you, Siddharth.
Yeah, thanks. So I think Nikhil has thrown quite an easy ones on you. I'll probably try and be prepare as a turning track for you. So I think just coming back to what you were talking about the PNG cricket. Yes, I interviewed one of their former coaches, Joe Doss. He's also from Australia. And I think it was really a heartwarming story because the way he told about the fact that the struggles that PNG had once he took over the coaching, and how they have really qualified to the T20 World Cup. It absolutely calls for the fact that a lot of these associate nations do deserve some match time, game time during the tournaments, and specifically just before the tournaments, big tournaments, I would say. And I think just to start off, like you have been coaching the Netherlands cricket team for quite a while, and like when a coach takes over, there might be a feeling or the need to change some things in a setup. So what are the possible changes you think you were required to make within the Dutch cricket setup, and how they've really worked so far?
Well, the biggest thing for me was when I took over, I knew I was taking over a pretty talented team, and I knew they had a history of some big upsets in the World Cup, but then they also have a history of literally no consistency. And what I also understood that when I had followed the Dutch team pretty well. One of my best mates ever, Michael Swart, I actually helped do the deal to get him to play for the Netherlands. When he was a Perth boy, and his dad was Dutch, so I knew a lot about Dutch cricket. But what I also knew was they always pretty much played the 9 or 10 same players all the time because their depth of talent wasn't very, very good. So the two things that I guess when I came on board was I need to get the depth of talent bigger. I need to make sure that we have a probably, looking at 30 or 35 players that we can honestly look at when we are picking a team, not just, same names, it's okay, this is easier. I needed selection to be hard, because I'm the only selector in the country, and I want my job to be the hardest job possible, trying to squeeze 15 names into a World Cup squad, for instance. So we went about trying to add to that squad and to make sure that I was finding the right players in Dutch cricket that had the ingredients, that they were tough, and that they had the basic games that we could then work on and try and elevate to an international level. So that was one of the big things that we worked on. But the other one was the professionalism of the team. Did they want to be a full member, or did they want to be a team that played only against full member teams? And that's what winning the World Cricket League was going to do. Or were you happy to be an okay side, go on a trip, play a few games of cricket, have a good jolly, a few beers afterwards, probably turn into about 1,000 beers for most of the guys, and then you fly home. And when I asked those questions, and I was pretty firm which way I wanted to go, it was pretty much put your hand up and come with me, or stay back at the docks because I'm not going to select you. And it was I think I was lucky because I came at a time when all the player group were also craving that. They were ready to go. They wanted to take it to the next level. So, they were the two biggest things, and we worked really hard. And I guess, when people say to me, when my time ends at the Netherlands, when they, show me the door, so to speak, I think if they ask me what's my crowning glory, it won't be, we won the World Cricket League or we won the World Cup qualifiers or anything like that. It'll be, look at the names now. Look at Max O'Dowd, what a player he's become. The Tobias Vices, the Bustalators, the Philip Boysevains. We've elevated someone like a Peter Saylor, who was just generally known as a left arm off spinner. Mate, he's a top order player now. He bats at number 4 or 5 in our team. From my squads, we unearthed guys like Fred Klassen and Shane Snater, who have now been picked up in county cricket. So that would be my greatest, I guess, achievement. And not only that with the player group, but the coaches that I brought in. You look at Chris Little, Trevor Penny, these sort of guys. Mate, everyone looked at the success of the Dutch team and went, gee, we want him. So, Chris Little is now a county coach, and Trevor Penny was swooped on by the West Indies and things like that. That's my job, is to make players good enough for international level, but also hopefully get into county level and things like that, but also the coaching staff to promote them as well. And hopefully they get opportunities around the world. And that's, I think, what I've done the best, and I'll continue to try and do that. We have, lots of youngsters coming through here that we'll continue to push, and hopefully the under-19s have a good World Cup qualifiers I think that's in Spain, in September. And, they're obviously up against Ireland and Scotland, the renowned U-Butte teams. But, I think we're going to be really competitive. And from that group of players, you will see guys like Vikram Singh, Ardian Dutt, Shariz Ahmed, these sort of guys who are born and bred, have known nothing but Dutch cricket and known their whole life is Dutch. They're going to become Dutch international players, and they're going to drive our next generation as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. Has there been a lot of opportunity, like to develop the game locally amongst the kids there? Because obviously with football being a number one sport, there must have been challenges there for you to sort of get kids hooked on cricket, as opposed to, say, like Australia, for example, where they have those junior pathways.
Mate, 100%. There's no sport in schools here, no sport at all. So everyone has to join a club. And of course, when a little Olivia comes along and asks, "Oh, Mum, I want to join a club," they say, "Okay, well, you can choose one. What is it?" "Well, all my mates are playing football, or all my mates are playing hockey." So they join those clubs, and that is really, really tough. But again, one of the beauties about this national team at the moment and the success we've gained is that the Super League against Ireland was shown live in the Netherlands for the first time by Ziggo Sports. That hadn't been seen before. And all of a sudden, you have people at home watching it on TV going, "Oh, wow, that's cricket. That's the Dutch team." And of course, as it turned out, that first game against Ireland was the last ball. We win. Ziggo Sports going, although they love us forever, but, we were the talk of the town. We were suddenly in the press. People are talking about cricket, and that's the only way you can succeed. And, in the Netherlands, we get, I think, 3 or 4 BBC channels. So in the old days, when BBC had cricket, people could still actually see, oh, that's Test cricket. That's cricket. At least you understood it. But that hasn't been on TV for something like, since ever Sky took over. So that's 15 years or something. So, we had to get it. We've got to get it back on TV. We need the national team to be successful so that the kids can see something and go, "Oh, yeah, right. I understand what you're doing there. I want to be a part of that." And our club system is pretty good. There's a whole host of clubs here. Some have been around since 1895. So cricket's always been here, but now it's just about getting those participation levels up, and so the old supply lines can be full of cricketers and playing. And I always say to the guys, the Dutch are supposed to be the tallest people in the world, so we need some of these big kids to play cricket and bowl 1,000,000 miles an hour and hit the ball hard. But again, you look at the Olympics, the Dutch national hockey teams were fantastic. Their football teams are fantastic. Although I'm very happy to say that the cricket team's ranked higher than the football team, which is always a bit of a joke that I have with all the people here. But yeah, we're getting there. We are getting there.
Okay. I think let's just talk about a thing that has gained a lot of steam over the last few years with the rise of I would say technology, and that's the use of data. I think there have been different cases of different teams using data in order to say maybe gain and sustain tactical advantage. So Ryan, how much of it do you use within your setup and say maybe before any series or a tournament?
Yep. So my assistant coach, James Hilditch, who does an awesome job, and he's where the associate world, I guess we have those issues that he also has to be our analyst. But he's very much a very clever man when it comes to cricket, and he'll sit there with myself and we'll pick apart our opposition. Before every series, every games, the players will have a full rundown of opposition strengths and weaknesses and where we're going to tactically try and get advantage. We also have matchups. We follow the numbers. Since I took over, we've always followed the numbers. I can tell you what Dutch bowler bowls the best over in a T20 game at any given time, like who's had the most success and things like that. So, we follow the numbers. Again, our matchups in a big, for instance, like a big bash team, would we change our opening batter to someone else because he hasn't got a good history with that?
Not there,
50-50, because maybe we don't have the X factor that we need to sort of take on those bowlers and stuff. But we use it. We definitely spend lots and lots of times on it. Straight after a game, our players can get a rundown from James, everything they've done in the game, where they've been hit, what they've done well, what they haven't done so well. So, for instance, we have a camp here in the Netherlands leading into the World Cup in the first week of September. And, 2 hours of every day will be against our opposition. And we'll sit there and we'll watch, all the opposition, the good, the bad, the not so bad. Again, you also have to weigh up the individual player because, Peter Saylor is a cricket tactician and he loves it. And we can give him all the information as captain. Whereas someone like a Viv Kingma, for instance, kind of gets a bit clouded in his head if he's thinking a million different things. So we have to, and that's part of a coaching structure, that you have to know your players and you have to work out what do I give to this and that and these guys, and a general summation, is given to everyone, because I think if they just use the excuse, no, it's just going to clutter my brain, that's a bit of an excuse, to be honest. So they do have to have some form of level of it, of the opposition. How deep you go into it is, I guess, the biggest test of a coaching structure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'll just take one more question before I switch ends with Dan. So I think it's been around 5-6 years now. I've covered quite a few cricket matches, specifically in this, while staying in the industry. Now I've actually, stepped into a different thing, in the sports management thing, in which, I'm currently doing my master's. So there's this one subject that, I've learned, I would say, and it's sports coaching. And there was a specific thing, that one of our professors taught, us, and it was related to coaching philosophy. Like, what are the beliefs or the behaviors that characterize someone's coaching practice? So if I may ask you, what's your coaching philosophy, since the time you have been with, I would say, Netherlands?
Very simple. Competition is everything. For me, when you come to a training day, you'll see competition, healthy competition, and because I need to, we play in a results-driven sport, and so if I'm not, giving the guys and testing guys in the nets and stuff, then how are they going to compete in the big theatre of international cricket? So, competition is one of those big things. The other philosophy for me is fun. Everyone knows that, if you're not having fun, it suddenly can become a job, even though the great game that we play is about fun, is about, it's a great game, but we don't want to turn it into something that players don't enjoy. So there's always going to be a fun element, but there's always a competition element. And I guess the other philosophy for me is players need to know their roles. They need to know where they stand in the team and exactly what they are doing well and what they're not doing well. Now, to do that, and I know we live in an age where everyone just wants to hear the good stuff, but sometimes you do have to tell the bad stuff to players. And to be able to do that effectively, you have to have a great relationship with that player. And I guess the big thing for me is my relationships with players. They know that if they get in trouble, they ring me. If they have girlfriend trouble, they ring me. If they're having trouble with their game, they have to have the honesty to be able to talk to me about it. So, the worst thing that I can say to any potential coach is just, keep being positive and keep telling them all the good stuff. And that's fantastic, but at some point you actually have to tell them, if things aren't going so well, we need to change something here, or this isn't quite good enough. And, you know, I see a lot of modern day coaches are full of great stuff, but then that player who thinks he's going so well because he's been told all this wonderful stuff all year, suddenly gets a phone call from the high performance manager saying, yeah, your contract's been cut for next year. It's like, what? Oh, I thought I was going really well. The coach says I'm brilliant. So that's I guess, the weighing up of where you are. You got to have honesty with your players. And one for me, communication and honesty will always be one of my key pillars of my coaching philosophy.
Was that something you picked up in your time from WA cricket? Because when you came through WA, you came through with that golden generation, especially as a gloveman. You had your Tim Zuras, your Rod Marshes. You had some very sort of like tough cricketers who were quite sort of passionate and quite competitive. Were there some of the things you sort of took over into touch cricket?
Yeah, well, I was lucky enough, like you say, I was lucky enough to play in a team with West Australian cricketers who had some of the greats of any era of West Australian, if not Australian cricket. You know, you look at my teammates, I used to open the batting with Michael Hussey, and then, you know, I'd walk out onto the whacker and I look up at the scoreboard and I'd see Langer, Martin, Moody, Kadich, Gilchrist below me. It's like, yeah, this is a pretty easy game when you got those blokes behind me. But you know, we were so successful because of the way we played, but also the way we treated each other. We were very honest. The team always came first. And I came into a WA side that had gone away from those principles. It was a bit, I want to play for me because I want to play for Australia. And Wayne Clark, who took over as coach, got rid of all that. And he was an outstanding coach. And look, did Wayne Clark ever teach me how to play a cover drive? No. But he taught me how to be a professional, and he taught me how to get the best out of myself. And, you know, he taught us how whatever happened, a successful team people will look at. And for me, that was all we cared about. It's all about, when I look back now, I think everyone says, oh, so what were your highlights of your career? You know, playing for Australia, doing this. No, playing 3 or 2 Sheffield Shield winning finals, 3 one-day titles. That's my memories. You know, so for when I come here and in any team that I coach, if you don't want to put the team first, I'm not so good at dealing with people like that. And, you know, we're going to have words and we're going to butt heads and we're going to, you know, I want to get you understanding that this team comes first because, you know, when you wear this on your chest, you represent history. You're a part of something greater. And that's what I believe. It's why we play team sport. You know, that's why I hope that my 6-year-old and my 3.5-year-old one day, whatever sport they choose, it's a team sport because they learn life lessons and they make friends for life and things like that. So, yeah, that's the one thing I did learn from my time in WA cricket.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. Thanks for that, Ryan. Sid, did you want to sort of wrap it up here?
Yeah, sure, definitely. I think, Ryan, thank you so much. It was a really great chat. I think we all, you know, learned a lot. And specifically, I think it's very important that, you know, rather than just, you know, conducting interviews, which are pretty much, you know, controversial and sometimes do not make sense, something that I would say a lot of, you know, the media giants in India are very much famous for. I think it's important to, you know, conduct such interviews in which, you know, we get a lot of insights and we get to learn a lot. So yeah, thank you once again for joining us. And for our viewers, I think do like to, you know, all our videos. You know, we guys are really putting in a lot of effort. So your love means a lot, and do subscribe to our channel because we promise that, you know, we are going to put, you know, such videos in future. Until then, on behalf of Ryan, Dan and Nikhil, it's Siddharth saying goodbye.